This is ABC15 Mornings.
A decision has not been made yet, but local businesses are waiting on the green light from the governor to open their doors back up to the public.
And kids continue to be missing out on classroom time. So the question is, when will schools be back in session?
Also, it is going to be a hot weekend, no way around it. And the county is making sure that they keep everyone safe. They're going to try and take some extra measures to help everybody out, also maintaining that social distance. So we're going to show you how they plan to do that coming up in this 6 o'clock hour of news. And we thank you for joining us. I'm Nohelani Graff.
And I'm Mark Thompson, social distancing from home. And Nohe, I've already been going over a little heat checklist in my mind. So things that I really need to get done. My car air conditioning, it needs some service. So that is going to be a priority. I hope I'm not going to be in there with a bunch of crowds trying to get that done.
You and me both, my friend. I gave the car AC a whirl the other day, and it just was not churning out air as cold as I need it to be. So yeah, that's definitely on the list for me as well. In the meantime, we all just have to fill up those water bottles and make sure they stay on ice. We're going to need it. Today, we will reach those triple digits for the first time in 2020, coming close to the record of 102, which was set back in 1898. So we are on record watch today, but I'm not sure that we'll quite hit it. All the more reason when it's going to be that hot in the second half of the day to capitalize on the first half of the day. So maybe get that coffee on ice and take it out on the patio while you can. We'll be in the low 70s across the valley by 7 o'clock this morning, mid 70s by 8, and by 9 we're already in the low 80s. I'm going to walk you through the second half of this forecast, and we also have to talk about the air quality because it is not going to be good today either. That's coming up in just a few moments.
All right, Nohe, thank you. And as Nohe just mentioned, we are experiencing one of the hottest weekends of the year, that is right now. But there is some encouraging news when it comes to our wildfire watch this morning. Crews near Superior now have the Whitlow fire 75% contained, with full containment expected this weekend. That fire burning nearly 850 acres. And in Mesa, brush fires, they continue to break out just off of US 60. Take a look here. It's in a pretty busy area that we're looking at. Look at all that smoke. The Cliff Castle chopper flying over the aftermath near Signal Butte and Baseline. Fire crews putting out the hot spots in that field there. It's still unclear what sparked those flames.
Now we want to get to a developing story, and maybe you even got the push alert on your ABC15 mobile app, a deadly helicopter crash. That helicopter crashing in a Mesa park just yesterday afternoon. 2 men were on board. One of them did not survive, and people who lived in the area actually caught part of that crash on their cameras, and they dropped everything to run into the smoke to try and save those 2 men who were on board.
Saw movement in his eyes, so we got in there. I was able to get into the cabin and couldn't get a good grip on his arm. It was really loose, and then was able to get my hand under his head, and 2 other people had his legs, and so I had his head and his spine, and we were able to pull him out quickly and get him away from the accident.
You can hear in his voice, too, the shock that he's still in. But wow, amazing that he would run in to help. Investigators also pulling the wreckage from that park Friday night. That's what you were just looking at. And now the NTSB is investigating what caused that crash. Several witnesses actually telling us that a piece was missing from the chopper as it came down. And we saw what looks like a rotor a few miles from that crash site. We will keep you updated as we learn more about this, including more about the man who did survive this crash and how he is doing.
All right, Nohe, thank you. Now we want to get to the very latest on the coronavirus. Let's break down the numbers here in Arizona. Cases in our state now topping 6,000. The state also reporting 17 new deaths, bringing the total to 226. About 16% of those cases in Arizona were hospitalized. Well, the deadline to get St. Luke's back up and operational is now 7 days. We did get a look inside. Take a look here. These are new images from inside showing crews working on the shuttered hospital. From the pipes to the fixtures, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is making sure that that building is up to code. Right now, it's unclear what the trigger point will be to reopen it. if they're going to wait for other hospitals, for example, to hit 100% capacity. The state only saying that they are moving forward with a scalable plan to open when feasible.
Everybody makes the assumption is that the facility was really good to go when it closed in November. The reality is after about a week of investigation, it had a lot of work that needed to be done.
We asked the state for more clarity on what they mean by a scalable plan, but they didn't respond with any details.
Well, students and parents wrapping up week 5 now of remote learning. And this morning, ABC 15's Danielle Lerner is asking our state superintendent point blank what so many families want to know. When will schools reopen? And will students be ready for the next school year?
3, 2, 1, blast off! What are the plans as far as getting schools back open and kids back in the classroom?
We have started that planning, and as of now, it's very hard to predict, of course, but as of right now, we're hopeful that schools can reopen in the next school year.
Hopeful, but no specifics yet on exactly when that will happen or what it will look like. Those details now the focus of a comprehensive statewide reopening plan, set to be finished and released to the public by the end of May.
What's most important is making sure we have the policies and procedures in place so that in terms of cleaning and thinking about, do our schools even have the appropriate PPE or thermometers, and what does that look like?
And right now, learning looks different for families across the state. Kathy Hoffman says it's inevitable that disparities in technology and internet access will require extra attention from teachers and staff next school year.
The issues with access are definitely going to create different ability levels. It's all the more reason why we need to have the appropriate resources, whether that's interventions, reading specialists.
How do we put even more resources into our students when we were already struggling with that before all of this happened?
Even with the economic downturn, we have to find a way to maintain our current levels of funding.
So as state and county health agencies track the number of COVID-19 cases daily, districts are also watching closely to make sure students and staff are safe if and when schools reopen.
It's going to take a lot of planning and, again, a lot of transparency and communication to families about what precautions are being taken.
Danielle Lerner, ABC 15, Arizona.
Danielle, thanks. Important information that so many parents are wondering about. Let's talk about that most accurate forecast. I told you that we do have some air quality concerns today. So there is a high pollution advisory in effect. Our ozone pollution levels are high because the air has become stagnant with this heat and high pressure. So if you have breathing problems, COPD, asthma, you do need to limit your time outside today because you will notice the difference. And this is going to happen again on Tuesday. So just be aware. Now, as for the temperature planner for today, we will be in the 70s through 8 o'clock this morning. By 10, we're in the upper 80s already, and by noon, midday, we're in the mid-90s already and climbing. We're likely going to hit those triple digits by late afternoon, right around 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. And even by sunset, we'll still be in the upper 90s. So it is a warm evening ahead. If you do plan to eat outside at any point today, then I would say breakfast outside is more likely than dinner outside because it's still going to be very warm at that time. I'm going to talk about the rest of this 7-day forecast and the temperature trend that we're about to embark on, because it is climbing. Quite the change from last weekend. That's coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Nohe, thank you. And due to the excessive heat this weekend, there are some resources around the county that are opening up to try and provide just a little relief. The Salvation Army will open 12 indoor heat relief stations around Maricopa County tomorrow from 11 to 5. And firefighters, they're also bracing for a busy weekend as temperatures soar. As for families looking to escape the house, there aren't many options out there.
We are seeing the fact that folks cannot recreate in areas that can keep them cool. Bowling alleys, movie theaters, all those places that you do your weekend activities, they're closed. So you are going to seek outside recreation to do that. And your body's not yet acclimated. It's still April.
Yeah, so start thinking of some alternatives now to stay cool. Remember, drink plenty of water starting the day before you do an outdoor activity, and keep an eye out on the weather reports so you know exactly where the heat is going to stand for that particular day. For a list of all of those heat relief stations, you can head to ABC15.com.
Now, we have told you that senior living communities are being hit really hard right now, but this morning we do have a story offering just a little hope for you.
Happy birthday to you.
So Mildred Zoller there just celebrating her 98th birthday, and you heard the happy birthday song. Her family surprising her at Sunrise Senior Center in Scottsdale. Because of COVID-19 restrictions, they did have to look through the windows and distance, but they still brought a cake and signs to try and celebrate.
It means a lot to me to see her because we've only been able to talk on the telephone, and at 98, she is not that communicative. So it's really hard to see how she is, and I don't really know how much she understands, but I know she misses me.
Yeah, it's just the little things. It's that FaceTime that everybody is so desperate for. Mildred has been quarantined for about 6 weeks now, so this birthday celebration, definitely a welcome change of pace for the whole family.
All right, 6:11 now on your Saturday morning, and coming up, President Trump, he's getting a lot of heat on social media right now for suggesting that doctors inject COVID-19 patients with disinfectant. Now he's explaining those comments. And we've got some sobering numbers to report to you this morning. The death toll from the coronavirus, it continues to climb here in the United States. More than 51,000 fatalities have now been reported, 800,000 plus people diagnosed. But as states come down from their peak, some are considering how to reopen those states. ABC's Karina Mitchell has more on that story.
Georgia is now allowing some businesses to reopen despite backlash and concerns. Workers at beauty shops taking extra precautions, wearing plastic shields and masks. At gyms, maintaining 6 feet of social distancing.
Nervous, anxiety, all that too, but, we all want to come back to work.
The White House says over the past week, more than a dozen states, including hard-hit New York, have shown a decline in COVID-19 cases, but Governor Andrew Cuomo taking no chances.
If you say, well, we're done, can't stay in the house anymore, let's just reopen. Just start business tomorrow. Let's go. What happens? That's what happens. All the progress we made is gone.
Meantime, following backlash over his highly disputed suggestion about potentially injecting disinfectants into patients, President Trump offered this explanation Friday.
I was asking a question sarcastically to reporters like you, just to see what would happen.
The president claims his comments were directed at experts, but companies like the maker of Lysol issuing a statement saying, under no circumstance should our disinfectant products be administered into the human body. Karina Mitchell, ABC News, New York.
Let's talk about that most accurate forecast, and we are already seeing some pretty mild temperatures outside, but this is the nicest and most comfortable that it will be all day today. So we're already at 70 degrees in Phoenix and Glendale right now, but we're looking to hit the 60s. We are in the 60s, I should say, in Chandler, Mesa, and Goodyear. Also, across the state, temperatures right now are chilly up in the high country. We're still in the 30s in Flagstaff, the Grand Canyon, Window Rock warming to 30 degrees, so very chilly there this morning. We're even still in the low 40s in Show Low and Prescott, but the warm up is going to change that drastically. We'll go up by 40 degrees in Prescott to 81 today. Show Low will warm into the mid 70s. Same with Heber and Window Rock. Flagstaff warming to 73 today, but we're going to hit those triple digits along our western border from Bullhead City, Lake Havasu City, Yuma. We'll come close to the triple digit mark in Gila Bend, Casa Grande. Globe staying in the upper 80s for today, though. Here in the valley, we will hit the century mark across much of the valley for the first time this year. So we're looking at a high of 100 in Goodyear and Levine, as well as Ahwatukee, 100 in Tempe, Mesa, and Chandler. Santan Valley looking to stay in the upper 90s, as well as Apache Junction, and Anthem warming to 97 today as well. So here's how we get there. We warm into the 80s early by 10 o'clock this morning. This is going to be a rapid warm up. By noon, we're we're in the mid 90s already and looking to hit that triple digit mark right around 3-4 o'clock this afternoon. Even by 8 o'clock tonight, we're still in the low 90s. So it's definitely going to be a warmer night once again. Our activity planner, running, hiking, biking, we're going to give you the yellow light at the very least. Hiking especially, though, I would advise against that because you need to think about not just yourself, but also our first responders. If they have to come rescue you, and also with now these new social distancing responsibilities, then you're putting them at an increased risk. So let's really be smart about it. If you are going to exercise outside today, you have got to hydrate. Futurecast showing us because of high pressure, we've got clear skies statewide. Later this evening, we'll see some high thin clouds move in, and then by the evening hours we could see just a little bit of cloud cover here in the valley, but that is not going to keep us cool. So that heat risk is in the moderate range for today. Tomorrow it will be higher because we do have an excessive heat warning in effect, and it will be a weather action day for your Sunday. And so what that means is that sensitive groups need to stay cool or they're at risk for heat illness. Also, you need to reduce your time in the sun and stay hydrated when those temperatures are above 100 degrees. And they are going to stay that way at least to end this last week of April, triple digits, and we do not normally hit triple digits this quickly, this early. Usually we see a stretch like this happen at the end of May, but here we are. So tomorrow we are going to see that excessive heat warning in effect. So you want to take precautions and be prepared. And also, because of these warmer temperatures in the day, our overnight lows are going to drop only into the 70s. So tomorrow morning, it will be a more mild morning as well. And looking at that 7-day, those triple digits sticking around as far as the eye can see, down to 102, if you can say that, on Tuesday, but then very hot temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday as we climb back to 105 and even 106 by Thursday. So I think it's fair to call this hot, sizzling. Yeah, we're there.
Yeah, no more warm, lukewarm. We go right into the hot category now. No, hey, thank you. 6:18 now on your Saturday morning. Coming up on ABC 15 Mornings, the NFL Draft, giving people something to look forward to while we are safe at home. We're breaking down the Cardinals picks so far, and we're going to tell you how you can watch rounds 4 through 7 today.
ABC 15 Sports, sponsored by Sanderson Ford.
Apparently, lightning can strike twice, at least if you're Cardinals GM Steve Keim. On Thursday night, one of the top defensive players fell to the 8th pick, where the Cardinals scooped him up without hesitation. And on Friday, despite not having a pick in the second round, they end up with one of the top offensive linemen they wanted all along.
With the 72nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Josh Jones, tackle, Houston.
Yeah, Josh Jones, considered one of the best offensive tackles in the draft, falls all the way to the 3rd round, exactly what Cardinals GM Steve Keim was hoping for. The 6'5", 320-pound senior is a 4-year starter at Houston, where he finished 2019 as a second-team all-conference selection and was invited to play in the Senior Bowl. He fills a big need for the Cardinals, who were definitely looking for long-term help in protecting Kyler Murray. He's also a guy that can play both the left and right side of the line, and he comes to the Cardinals with a little chip on his shoulder after falling all the way to the 3rd round. But he is happy that he's coming to play for Cliff and play with Kyler. I caught up with our NFL draft analyst Mark May to get his take on Josh Jones.
Very athletic, but the thing is he needs to get that nasty streak and keep it 1 for 1 for 2. He's got to finish blocks. This is more of a developmental tackle. And the offensive line coach and the offensive line staff have to do a terrific job with him and bring him along slowly. But at least there's competition on the offensive line. At least they attack his position. So far, it's been terrific. The players that they've got, Nuke Hopkins, I can't say enough about him. We talked about him before. He's one of the top 1 or 2 or 3 wide receivers in the NFL. He proves that each season he's on the field to play and comes up with big numbers. And in this draft, when you come away with Isaiah Simmons like they had, an offensive lineman falls in their lap. So far this offseason and some of the free agent signings that they've had, the Arizona Cardinals, at least right now on paper, are a much better football team than they were last year.
Thanks, Mark. Let's go to ABC 15's Colin Harmon, who's been camped out at Cardinals headquarters in Tempe with a reaction from Josh Jones, the Cards GM, and head coach Cliff Kingsbury.
Craig, Josh Jones was considered maybe one of the best offensive tackles outside of the top 4 that went early in the 1st round. NFL Network analyst Daniel Jeremiah said that some of his tape shows that he's a top 15 type of talent. Nobody is sure why he fell. Not the Cardinals, not Jones, not his agent. He was expecting to hear his name called late in the first round or early in the second, but said his house started getting more and more quiet with each pick that went by. That wasn't him until the Cardinals got their much-needed offensive tackle with the 72nd pick.
Sometimes things don't work out in your favor, man. Not even your favor. Sometimes you just got to, play with the cards you're dealt, man. I'm happy I landed with the Cardinals, man, with a great team, a rising team. Everything's going up, with a great quarterback, and now you got somebody to protect him.
To me, he's got some versatility, and we'll be able to work early on in his career on both sides for us and see where he's at. But, we certainly had him slotted up there very high. I've already gotten a number of texts from other head coaches and general managers that were quite shocked that he was there as well.
Talking to his O-line coach this year, talking to Dana Holgerson, like I said, to watch them have a tough year and the way he handled it and was a leader and professional and kept doing his job to the best of his ability goes a long way. And so just really happy to get to work with him after he turned me down initially.
To be able to come away with 2 players so far in 72 picks that were in our top 30 is tremendous. 2020 is our year, I guess.
Now, Cliff Kingsbury had tried recruiting Jones to Texas Tech. Obviously, that didn't work out, but there is some familiarity there. Cliff's also been working with Steve Keim on manifesting good things into the universe. Well, getting 2 players that the Cardinals had ranked in their top 30, plus using that second-round pick on some guy named DeAndre Hopkins. I'd say it's worked out pretty well so far. Colin Harmon, ABC 15 Sports.
Still 4 more rounds to go in this year's draft. The action picks up at 9 this morning right here on ABC 15. Then join us later tonight on ABC 15 News at 6 for a complete wrap-up of the draft and all the big headlines surrounding our Arizona Cardinals. Join me, Colin Harmon, and Super Bowl champ Mark May. And by the way, the Cardinals have 4 picks remaining, 2 in the 4th round. That second pick comes from Houston in the DeAndre Hopkins-David Johnson trade. They have 1 in the 6th and 1 in the 7th. And keep this in mind, even if you're not drafted this weekend, over 30% of the players in the league last year went undrafted.
Well, NFL fans, they sure did show up for the draft this year, although not in person. It was held virtually. The opening night of the virtual draft drew an average of 15.6 million viewers. That's a new record for the event. The previous high was in 2014 with 12.4 million viewers. Well, speaking of the NFL, we're going to tell you about a legend who is giving back to the community. That's on the other side of this break.